basketball fans, it's me, DC, here for Fantasy Basketball Analyzer to help you get ready for week 15 of the NBA season by breaking down the schedule, looking at strength schedule, pace, defense, quality games, all the things we like to do. You know how we normally start. We look at the pace and defense efficiency put together to make our own metrics, and bring it up now. We've been doing it for a few weeks, so you kind of know who to expect at the top and bottom, right? Houston, Sacramento, Charlotte, Atlanta, Portland are the best to go after, with Orlando and the Lakers kind of on the edge. The worst teams go after because they have either slower pace or the best defenses. Golden State and Cleveland, both because of their strong defenses. Dallas, Miami, Boston, Phoenix. Now, I intentionally use the season-long numbers because I feel like it gives us a better perspective, but that's obviously not the only way to be looking at it. I saw Kirk Goldsberry tweet this out, as he regularly does. Here's the efficiency landscape over the last 15 games, so about the last 3 weeks to a month, depends. Part of that's interesting to me is just a second guess, right? Or a double check, not a second guess. But like, I've kind of been doubting Dallas being down at the bottom on my metric, but their pace is slower, so I thought that's been why. But if you look over the last 15 days, Dallas is actually the number one defense over the last 15 games, so the last month or so. Now, obviously, depending on how far back those 15 games go, a lot of people are missing with health and safety protocols, but I think we're mostly past that window, so I still give some interest to this. I also just thought it was cool to see, say, Memphis, who's here number 5 net. They've got number 11 offense, which I don't think shocks us, and the number 6 defense. That is a big step up from when they started the season when they were one of the worst defenses. Now that has Ja has stepped up his game. Dylan Brooks came into the season injured, so they were short with him. The team's gelling. They found other contributors to play larger roles like Desmond Bane, who's out with health and safety protocols now. But I do think it's interesting because Memphis here is middle of the pack, even though their pace plays a little higher. But according to the last 15 games, their defense is a little worse. I find that this can throw us a little bit off because if you look at something like, say, Utah, they've been out without Gobert. By using the season long, that weight kind of helps you set expectations because I don't know when during weeks people will be back. But there is some value in the 15 days. I also just thought it was cool. You can find it on Twitter, and I just wanted to share that graphic. Let's go ahead and take all of this and apply it to the week 15 schedule. All right, when we look at the schedule, we got 3 teams only playing 2 games. It's Houston, Oklahoma City, Washington. Pretty much unusable in your weekly lock leagues, and you can do some spot starts there. They're also not playing on great days. You know, Houston is playing their 2 games on the busier days. It's kind of like that for all 3 of those teams. Beyond that, 14 teams have 3 games, 13 teams have 4 games, so we're pretty evenly split. Always prefer the 4-game weeks, but sometimes it matters a little more when the game days fall, and we'll talk about that when we get to streaming. If I'm looking for someone with a really good schedule, if I'm trying to find an edge here, the Lakers are kind of interesting because they end the week with Charlotte and Atlanta, and both of those are positive matchups. But Brooklyn and Philly, Brooklyn's fine, middle of the road, we're not too worried about it. Philly's actually a pretty non-favorable matchup because of pace and their defense. Where our numbers are, they just missed the cutoff, so they're not marked red here, but I think we kind of know it just from watching the game and knowing the players that are there, that you're not excited to face Philly from a fantasy standpoint. So the second half of their week is pretty interesting. That was me grasping for who's got a good schedule, but otherwise no one really jumps out as incredible. You know, New York plays Cleveland and Miami and the Bucks. You don't love those matchups. It's also a 3-game week. I don't think any of this should really split hairs unless you're doing your DFS lineups for any one of those days. That's really more how I'd use this. Before we move on to the back-to-backs, let me just warn you that Utah only has 2 games next week, so be careful about that. As far as we know, no games are changing at this point, knock on wood. So we're pretty settled with that. Utah's got 2 games. They play Minnesota on Sunday, but I might avoid making them that pickup because you're going to have a later week. And let's get into our back-to-backs. So for the back-to-backs, what I think jumps out to me when I look at it is Tuesday and Wednesday are heavy game days with 9 and 10 games. So there was a lot of back-to-backs on those 2 days. And there's pretty few elsewhere, right? We don't have anyone with the Monday-Tuesday back-to-back. We actually did before some of the COVID games got rescheduled. One of these games got pulled up, but that's not there for us anymore, so let's not worry about it. If we go through the players that we tend to worry about for back-to-backs, here's the rundown. Connolly kind of has a back-to-back. He's got a back-to-back running into the start of this. He may or may not play. Keep an eye on what happens at the end of the week we're living, week 14, to tell you kind of what happens at the start of week 15. Horford, yes, he has a back-to-back. Embiid, no. Kyle Lowry, yes, he has a back-to-back, although he's probably been playing through it. We'll see. Eric Gordon, no back-to-back, despite the fact that on this graphic I'm looking at right now, and you probably see in the video, it's got the Spurs marked as yes as a back-to-back. That's obviously not true. There's nothing around it. It was before the schedule rechange. I'll fix it in the spreadsheet. The graphic will probably be wrong. But Houston does not have back-to-back because they only have 2 games now. Dinwiddie, no to a back-to-back. Also, he did recently play in it. Now, that might be because Beal was out with the health safety protocols. So I don't know if this is a good positive trend where we're not going to have to worry about it as much, or if because Washington's finally like back to full strength, if they'll revert to him resting one all the time. We'll keep an eye on that. Curry, no back-to-back. And we've talked about before, it's not a given he's going to rest. Also, sometimes they rest him on non-back-to-back days. They've got bigger hopes, kind of like Embiid, although Embiid's been playing a lot this year. The team's doing something else, and that's going to affect your fantasy team. Kyrie, he's got 1 of 3 games at home, so you might only get to use him once this week, although the upcoming stretch, they actually have a lot of road games, so if you're hanging on to him, you probably will get a bunch of use out of them over the next couple weeks. But for this week, you're probably only going to get that one at Saturday at Golden State. All right, let's get into streaming. If you're in a daily change league, this is probably what affects you most. It's probably what you've been waiting for. If you're in a weekly locks league, thanks for watching. Leave a comment and you can run away because you don't get to utilize this skill. Let's run through the game days. Monday, we got 4. Thursday, we got 2. Saturday, we got 6. Those are our 3 good streaming days. Beyond that, it's pretty heavy. We got 9, 10, 11, and 8 game day. Sunday at 8, maybe you can get someone in there. But it's really Monday, Thursday, Saturday that we're looking to attack. With that in mind, I think New Orleans got the best streaming schedule if you're looking for one team to centralize your hopes on. They get Indy and Boston on Monday and Saturday, low volume days. And then in between, they've got 2 more. So you get 2 out of the 4 games are definitely on streaming days. And one of their games against Philly is on Tuesday on the 9 game day. So it's still a little low volume. Maybe you can work them in there, although Philly's not a great matchup. Next, I think Indiana, similar thing. They got Monday and Saturday for you to go after. 2 games in the middle. You like the matchups there. Charlotte and OKC, honestly, that whole week. Pelicans, Charlotte, OKC. Dallas is not a great matchup, as we've talked about. So you like that, but the Charlotte day is Wednesday. It's a little higher volume. Honestly, they're 1A, 1B. I'm splitting hairs to make this list to bring it to you, but I would focus on Indiana and New Orleans. They also, both teams have 4-game weeks next week. So if you pick them up, you might be able to hang on to them and have a pretty good run into the next go. If you don't want to go there, those aren't options available to you. Next, I've got Golden State and Philly kind of tied as my 3rd slot. They both only have 3-game weeks, but they play on Thursday and Saturday. Thursday being extra valuable because there's only 2 games. So there's only 4 teams that are playing. Most of your guys will be inactive. So if you get anyone from preferably these 2 teams, because you can use them on Thursday and Saturday, but you could also include the Lakers or Minnesota, the opponents in these. If you get any of these teams, you're going to get some use on them Thursday for sure. It depends on what you're trying to do with your moves. If you've got anything to point out, maybe you're already looking ahead. Sportsbet's been really good in the comments, helping out everyone here. If you go check those out, he often looks ahead and has some extra pointers for how many extra games. I talked with him this week too. It's pretty cool getting to meet him virtually. Anyway, thank you for watching. Leave a comment, questions down below, hit me up on Twitter, whatever you need. And I'll be back this weekend to help you get ready to work your waiver wire and go out and win your week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. It helps me grow the channel. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe or even the little bell will give you alerts. And I'll be back soon with another video for you.